exploring decorum among black men and corporate impact on middle-class challenges.
The rest of them niggas, they 40 years old. This should be something that they're not doing on a daily basis. Talking to women in an absurd way. Fantastic wouldn't want his daughters talk to like that, or the women in his life that he loved talk to like that. Right? I think we need to lead by example as black men and show more decorum when it comes to having these conversations. I myself have done awful things in this space. Can we not change? Can we not grow? Anyway, man, let me keep going, B. Shit is low-key absurd how wicked some of these niggas be.
The negative and negatively impact the lower class. Like when we say we need to be talking to the billionaires.
It doesn't.
Why should we be, instead of arguing with each other, why should we be arguing? Why should we need to be talking to the billionaires?
It doesn't.
Why should we be?
You think that the things that the billionaires do and corporate bailouts don't impact the small folks? Okay. Fine. Samsung is right here. Go ahead and bust this boy open. Crack open Gemini. Of course, we got to do the Gemini test to see if these men are right or if they're wrong. Because Mr. Fantastic may be right. I may be wrong. So let's see what happens. Gemini. I was listening to Mr. Fantastic, and he said that corporate bailouts and situations where billionaires are being bailed out by the government, that don't impact the middle class or small folk at all. Is he right?
Many experts disagree with that view, arguing that government support for large corporations and the wealthy, often called corporate welfare, does impact the middle class and small businesses. This support, like subsidies or tax breaks, is often funded by taxpayers and can lead to a disproportionate tax burden on the rest of the public. It can harm small businesses by giving subsidized competitors an unfair market advantage.
Damn.
Critics argue it misallocates resources, distorts markets, and can contribute to rising inequality and economic instability that eventually affects average people. Some argue that these programs are necessary to create jobs or stabilize critical industries, but many studies find little evidence that they boost broader economic growth or job creation more effectively than general tax cuts or pro-growth reforms.
Oh. So fantastic. In case you didn't hear that, many experts, are you an expert, Mr. Fantastic, on this subject that you're discussing right now? I'm not. I'm pretty sure you're not either. But many experts would disagree with that point of view. They would argue that the government support for large corporations and the wealthy, often called corporate welfare. So you call it a corporate bailout, a lot of the experts call it corporate welfare. And they say that this actually does impact the middle class and small businesses, right? That it creates disproportionate tax burdens on the rest of the public. That it harms small businesses by giving subsidized competitors an unfair market advantage. Can we have conversations about that? Oh, and you will argue that it creates jobs, et cetera, but many studies find little evidence that actually show that it boosts broader economic growth or job creation. This is why when I debate y'all need y'all receipts. They need to be from accredited institutions, right? That's what they have to be from. Otherwise, we can't have no conversations. It's not going to be like the old days where we allow y'all to say any fucking thing. Can't have that. Absolutely not. Let's keep going with the reaction, man. You know I got to pause every now and then for fair use purposes.
Instead of arguing with each other, why should we be arguing with the government?
And one of the issues that he said, that the issue that I took in him in regards to what he said was when he talked about rich people creating things. No, like I said, the intellectuals create things.
Well, no.
Right?
Well, no,
one of
no.
the things And what happens often, and some billionaires are great intellectuals. I'm not saying that, right?
So fantastic. Shut up and let him speak because you're actually being honest. How much money did Steve Jobs have when he created everything for Apple? He had nothing. He was poor. He was a Syrian immigrant living with his adopted parents, and he had just dropped out of Drew University or Drew College. Look it up. It wasn't until a rich investor invested into Apple that allowed Apple to grow. How would I know this? I don't know. How would I know this? Let me see if I can find it. It might be over here. Oh yeah, it's right here. I know some of you other peasants don't read, but it's right here. It's right here. He describes it all. In this book, Steve Jobs breaks down how it was almost impossible for him to get his ideas off the ground. Brilliant billion-dollar ideas, but he didn't have the corporate funding. He needed the funding. So as Jasmine boyfriend is saying, rich people don't create everything. They invest into innovators. They invest into scientists. You guys got to read. And for you guys who don't know, Walter Isaacson spent 10 years with Steve Jobs writing this book. This is basically known as the autobiography of Steve Jobs. Okay? Bought that book when it came out. Everybody who knows me know that I love Apple. I love Steve Jobs. And he means a lot to me. But I'm not going to talk about that right now. Let's keep going with the video. I just want to... Fantastic, you were wrong. All right? Wrong, and we don't have to fight about it. Babe said that book thick as hell. That book is very deep. But I'm not going to talk about Steve Jobs and his life right now. Different day.
But my thing is, some of them, they know how to do things like, I would say this, Thomas Edison, right? You know, Thomas Edison is he's supposed to be this great inventor, right?
Yeah.
But what Thomas Edison was a great exploiter of great inventors. He was a shark in the waters that knew how to take your patent, do everything, then flip it, and he makes money, right?
That's a great analogy, shark in the water. Because Shark Tank, the guys on Shark Tank don't create anything. As a matter of fact, oftentimes they look at people who could be really good people, really good businesses, and they say, well, fuck it. One of the biggest ones that I remember is the Ring Camera people. Ring Camera came to the Shark Loan people and it was like, we got this brilliant idea to put security cameras on every door in America. They turned them niggas away. They already had created the technology.